Okay, so today is, I think, March 3rd, 2021. It's Wednesday. I'm in... There's Amari. Hey, Amari. How you doing over there? Amari. Anyway, you can see there's his toilet. There's his wheelchair. Oh, it's kind of dark, but there you go. I've got these computers set up. This one here has a PDF converter. I haven't used it yet, people. I don't know if I'll be able to use it. I'm really hoping that I can, because if I can convert PDF files from the nonprofit and then link them into web pages right under the Minutes website page, then that's what I'm really hoping for. But I finally got everything hooked up here. If you notice, this screen is up there. It actually goes for this computer down here, which is an XP that I bought from the States. It only has 80 gigabytes on it, but when I was doing my computer repairs, the XP that I had before, the dude, he took out my external hard drive, so I should be able to put it into this one and access it through this operating system. But that dude also took out a battery pack or something that was in that computer. So anyway, right now we're at 80 gigs minus whatever it was to get it going, right? And what I'm going to do with this one, I think, is install my Windows Front Page 2000. Front Page 2000 is an editing system that I use to make web pages. Nothing fancy, it's all generic, pretty simple, basic HTML. And then hopefully with this computer, which obviously goes with this, oops, sorry, wandering eye. This computer here, which goes with this computer screen, it has its own keyboard, its own mouse, its own speakers, right? I can't remember how much gigabytes it has, but anyway, it's a Windows 7 operating system, which is fine. I don't mind that. And it does have that PDF converter on there, which I'm hoping to be able to convert the nonprofit files into PDF, like the minutes from day one, right? And all the way up. And then take those files, and as I'm working on this computer, right, building in web pages, I'm going to have to bring down this screen. Working on web pages, I'll take those PDF files and import them into the web pages, and then I upload to the server, right? So I'm keeping busy in here, people. Like, I'm not doing it just yet. Amari's going to go on his toilet, so I'm going to see if I can install the Front Page 2000. I have to find it first, right? These are my work computers. This is what I'm saying for basically the nonprofit, okay? But being that I'm a grandma, and I used to do homeschooling with my own kids, I sorted out Andre's playroom, organizing things better. I came across some cards that I made a long time ago. We're talking like 20 or more years ago. Right? You can see this is a wild card. And I guess this is a matching game. So these are things that I want to do with Amari and Alea May, but basically for Amari. And what I'm finding, though, people, is I have a lot of dust. I just dusted this, and it's so dusty. I don't know. I brought a plant in here, right? I'm going to put a hook up there, and I'm going to hang it down. That's a spider plant. I'm going to have to try and bring in another one. But anyway, you can see what I've got going here. So this is obviously for shapes or matching, right? Okay, so we got those. I thought that was pretty cool. I like to share this with you because it's, you know, it's nice to be in touch with just, you know, normal stuff, right? When you're either a parent or a grandparent or, you know, an aunt and uncle, you know, life is, not everything has to be miserable. And then here we go, but I'm noticing there's dust on this. Boy, oh boy. I made these, people. Yep. Anyway, 1, 2, I'm going to try and teach them to count. right? And I got some paints I found for him, right? Because he's going to paint. I'm going to get him onto finger painting and stuff. And then as I'm working, like I'll also have, because I'm working on web pages on this computer, which technically, honestly, I should be switching screens. I want the bigger screen versus the smaller screen. Although, because I don't use cascading style sheets, which I should, but I don't want to take the extra time and effort to learn how to use them, right? Also, too, I like a little more flexibility when I'm working on my web pages one by one, right? But when you make a web page, you have what you call as a table, right? And in the table, you get frames, okay? You break them up into frames. And anyway, your initial table has to be only so wide when you're doing basic HTML. Because if you make it too wide, and say somebody has a small computer screen like that one up there, it's not going to fit the computer screen, right? I learned the hard way on that one. If I was using a cascading sheet, style sheet format with JavaScript in there that adjusted the table width to conform with the device that's accessing your web page, which honestly I should look for, because people now have their little cell phones. But as far as I know, my web pages are looking okay on a cell phone, right? But I know for a fact that if I make the table too big, right, in the source code itself, right, if somebody has a small computer screen, it's going to go over the edge and you get that bar, right? It's no good, eh? You want something that fits. So I guess it doesn't really matter, right, in terms of this would be the right size, because from there, it's just, if you come into a bigger screen, it's still going to, you know, there's not going to be no interruptions. You're just going to have probably a lot of space, right? Technically, when you make web pages, you want to compare them on different browsers, like, what are they called? Firefox, right? Mozilla, what is it? Internet? No, what is that called? That other one. Anyway, you technically should take your web page, your source code, and compare them into different browsers to see how those browsers interpret the source code, right? So that it, you know, comes back to you the way you want, the designer wants you to see it. But then it just gets so complicated, because every browser reads and interprets things differently, right? And not everything, you know, some things will pick up, you know, MIDI players, you know, like some browsers will pick up MIDI players where other browsers won't. Some browsers will pick up a certain JavaScript. Other browsers will make that JavaScript freeze the whole freaking page. You know, so you know, it's bad enough trying to do this when you don't really know what you're doing. You just want to get your message out there, okay? If you're wondering why I started making web pages, it was simply because to get the message of the nonprofit out into the larger community, right? So anyway, you can see I'm showing you, right? I've already showed you my bank accounts. Now, technically, I should be sitting there writing something for the bank and contacting them and contacting the board directors and making arrangements. So now that I'm here, everything seems to be working. I don't know. This computer here with the PDF converter may have a program to type on. So before I install one into this other XP, I should check this one and see what's on there. Because if I don't have to install, you know, a WordPad or whatever, not a WordPad, but like a text editing, right? Because I have Office, Apache Office or something like that, which works fine for me. Or I'm not no guru on any of this stuff, people, right? I just, you know, I just try. That's all I've been doing is trying. So I'm still trying. That's all I wanted to say. And I wanted to share the good news that I came across you know, some of these numbers, right, that I did long, like these things are like 25 years old, right, and they're still in good shape. So this is what I'm going to be starting to teach Amari with. And then we've got these little teddy bears with different colors, you can see, right? They all have different colors. And then, of course, I've got lots of paints, right? You know, I've got lots of crayons, right? So, you know, and then as he's painting, finger painting, I figure what I'll do is I'll put those up on Andre's walnut art, which at some point, more than likely, you know, take pictures of things, and then because I have my little programs here, I'm going to try and work through them, right, and then get them up on Andre's walnut art, and Amari's paintings are going to go on there, right? And then, something that Andre can benefit from, he struggles with reading, right, he's a real knucklehead. These are signs, these are things that I did a long time ago too, for my own kids. Some adapted better than others, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, reading for some is easy, reading for others is harder. So here we've got flashcards that I made, right? For sounds, obviously that's sounds. Safer, that's a word, right? Well, obviously. Later, her. So I'm glad, and then we've got additions, right? Here's another sight word, where, right? And, you know, so this is good. I found this, so I'm going to go through this with Andre and get him more into doing this, right? So, you know, because he really struggles with it, so I'm really glad I found these. Again, I made these like 20, 25, if not longer, years ago, right? And they're still in good shape. Like, really good shape. Right? I've got other little things around here too, right? And then I found this for Andre. I thought this was kind of cool, right? So I brought this out. You know, I only have limited space in the house, and right now I'm like really organizing and taking things. I'm making way to try and move the wheelchair from here into the kitchen area, into the living room area. You know, at least make that path, right? It's very, very hard though. But I'm working on it. And then these are here, I thought are really cool. Like, these are really cool, people. Like, I'm actually excited to do this with Andre. Like, really excited to do this with Andre. You know, and this is what grandmas are supposed to be doing. You know, but you know what, people? It's really important no matter what. Even if I don't feel like I'm getting anywhere with the foundation, right? For all the reasons that I've stated in the past. It's not because of me, people, for lack of trying, okay? But, you know, I have to believe, and I know there's a few viewers and friends, and you know, that are on my channel and support me and love the kids, and you know, I know that, right? But on a grander scale, I just feel like people don't care about children like Amari, or it's a trickle-down effect, right? Right? It doesn't just start and stop with Amari. It goes into other issues like Sierra and what happened to her, and you know, and because they don't care what happened to Sierra, and they don't really care what happened to Andre or Uncle John or Shmay, or to what happened to us as a family as a whole, you know, why the hell would they care about Amari? You know, especially if they're wanting to exploit his situation, right? But you can't let that stop you from reaching out. I think that's what I'm trying to say. You can't let that stop you from reaching out and connecting with others who do care, right? And we take our skills, right? We take our skills to build each other up, to self-empower each other, okay? Because I know there are people out there that care about Amari. It's just, you know, he's in a very precarious position because of his disability, right? And because of basically my age, right? I don't expect to be around for 30 years, okay? I don't. He's going to need someone in his life anywhere from 45 to 70 years. Maybe Mari might get lucky and live till 70 years old. That would be great. But it's so hot in here. I got to find a way to bring a can of water. That's why I'm bringing plants in here. Hold on a minute. Okay. Shimei used to love this room because it's the warmest room in the house. Right? It really is. Downstairs below it too. For whatever reason. I get hot, right? And it's dusty. With all these trucks going back and forth. Gravel trucks and cement trucks and... Anyway. Okay, so... The reason I'm doing this video, right, is because I want to show you that I'm trying to be proactive even after all these years, okay? And I remind myself that, you know, maybe the majority of people don't care about what's going on with the various situations in my family circle, right? Even in relation to what happened to Amari, like, you know, it happened, get over it, and move on, and, you know, when he's 45, he'll die, and so be it. Well, I'd like him to live till he's 70 or more, right? I think he deserves that like everybody else, right? Why should he be any different, people, okay? But the thing is, you know, he requires ongoing attention and commitment and love, more than anything, love. Right? You can't buy love, right? You just remember that. You can't buy love. So he's always on my mind in terms of, you know, that commitment and with the resources, with the available resources for the ones that are looking after him and they're in for the full mile because they won't be able to do it by themselves, right? And being the way our governments are leading the general population into a very callous operating, I don't know, I don't think it's going to be a society of anything to brag about, that's for sure. You know, with everybody with their mental illness now, you know, developing and going to be permanent, right, for a lot of people, and you know, we're already dealing with cynicism and just, okay. You know, and then the government brings in crap like this, okay, which is where they can legally kill people now at the request of the patient, okay? Okay, this is the kind of stuff I'm going to work on when I'm in here, right? Because Amari can't speak, people. Right? We have to figure out how to way to communicate with him. That's why I have a speech therapist giving me ideas on how to, you know, develop language skills with Amari. And quite possibly bringing in like electronics, computers, buttons and stuff like that, so that he can identify words, hit the button, and then, you know, we understand, right? He communicates with me, right? I know he calls me. He's Nana. He does call me, people. That's for sure. And he knows he's going to get a response. Sometimes, you know, if he's being fussy and just being a little, you know, whatever, I'll let him fuss. But usually when he calls me, I'm like right there. So, you know, he's definitely calling me. He definitely says Nana. Okay, and if he's hungry, you know, and he sees food go by on a plate, right, he's letting you know he wants some too, right? So, it's just, how do we get him to talk and communicate like us when he's, like, incapable of doing it? This is where he becomes vulnerable, people. This battery is not plugged in. Anyway, this is where he becomes vulnerable. And at some point, somebody else is going to make decisions for him, right? Even as an adult. Because he's a dependent, right? And I won't be there, right? with my standing my ground. You know how I am, right? So that's the door into other people being able to exploit him and quite possibly pressure his other guardian after I'm gone, okay? I'm no longer in the picture, to maybe do something stupid like this because of his severe disability and burden on the system. Financial burden. Right? Why would the government want to keep Amari alive until he's 70 when they've already said that he'll be lucky to get to age 45? When in my opinion he was purposely injured at birth so that they can, one, create themselves a job, two, set him up for what do you call that? Brain implants through their technology, CRISPR and all this shit. Right? They need their specimens, people, to get him to walk 6 inches and then say that was a success. Right? Because, you know, they implanted electrodes into his head to make his leg move so that it appears as if he's walking, even though we all know he'll never walk in his whole fucking life. So let's just get to the gist of it, right? Hold on a minute. Okay, I got the perfect little fish tank. I used to have fish tanks all the time, right? But this house has been too small to actually set up fish tanks. But this is so dry in here. I'm going to put this little fish tank that I have up in here. That's what I'm going to do. To put moisture, and I'm bringing in more plants, right? To just, you know, irrigate the air, right? I don't like being in a desert with a bunch of dust. Anyway, what was I saying? So I'm really worried for Amari's future, right? Because there's just not enough of us that can influence the naysayers, the ones that are quick to turn off the water IV, right? In terms of, you know, right? So I printed this out to start familiarizing myself with what I'm up against, because this is what Amari is going to be up against at some point in the future, with somebody else making that decision for him, right? And they're going to be doing it more as a cost-saving measure to the system, or whatever it may be, than it is to letting live, you know, live and let live kind of situation, right? So anyway, I just wanted to point that out. So that's another aspect of the foundation that we have to keep in mind. Even though the foundation itself doesn't seem to be going anywhere after all these years, for whatever reason, it doesn't mean that it's still, you know, it doesn't mean that it's insignificant to anything that I've ever done or continue to do and will continue to try to do, right? Because this is important stuff, right? I don't know what it's going to take to break that sound barrier, you know, that glass ceiling for me. Like I said, I don't think it will ever be me. But in the meantime, I'm just going to do what I can do. So let's just, before I end this video, because it can't be all work and no play, right? Because this is work, people. It's really hard on my eyes. You know, honestly, I'm debating whether I should be changing screens here for the computers, because when I'm working on web pages, oh my God, that source code, oh. You know, I don't know if I want to be looking at little print versus maybe bigger print. This is a bigger screen. It would probably be easier on my eyes to be able to see the source code versus on that one, right? Because the other one, this other computer, the only thing I would do on there is just type something, maybe get it on a flash drive and, you know, go print it off, or convert files. That's why I've got two separate computers here for two separate things to do, basically, right? Like I need an office, people. I need an office with secretaries, those kind of things, and accountants. But let's see what we got here. So this is look how old these are. Can you see? Look, that's old. Right? There's another one. Little teddy bear. You can tell by the pictures how old this is. I don't know if it has a copyright on it. I'd have to look. I mean, look at the pictures. And this is all little science experiments. This is what this is. So, right. I have all these magnets and stuff. Right. I have compasses too. But here you can make your own compass. So this is the stuff I'm going to do. Conductors and insulators. Andre and I were making a solar oven this spring. Right. And I've got a lot of little electricity projects and stuff. Right. And so I got to get on to being a grandma, people. Okay, that's why I'm doing this video. This is what I should be doing on a regular basis. Right? And not worrying about what my government is trying to do to my family. But I have to worry about what the government is doing to my family. Because I walk the talk. I know what they're capable of. Right? I know what I'm up against, people. Even in death, I have to find a way to ensure that this will never be used against Amari. For convenience purposes. Right? Because we live in a death culture. And right now, the only reason they care, really, is because he's little. It's like a puppy. Right? People will be more apt to care about a puppy before they would an adult dog. Well, it's the same thing with adults and humans. When they're cute and cuddly, oh yeah, everybody cares. On the surface, that is. And of course, there are some people in there that really do care. So I'm doing this, whatever I'm doing in here, people, I'm doing it for the ones that really do care, okay? And we gotta band together, and we gotta stick together, and we gotta fight for the most vulnerable in society. And it doesn't matter if it's the old people locked up in care homes, right? It doesn't matter if it's people being murdered and not getting no justice, right? It doesn't matter if it's children being injured at birth or just coming in with genetic, disabilities, right? It's all to do with genetics, right? Because those children are at risk too, right? Doesn't have to relate to brain injury. It could be something else, right? So, and then it gives you a little. See, I have to get a magnifying glass in here. I can see. I can tell already. I can't freaking see, man. You can always tell when my eyes are getting tired. I'm just wondering if it can tell me when this was made. I'd like to know. Copyright, right? Ended on the copyright. So, I got Andre's playroom much more figured out now. And more than likely, I still got to go down and do some stuff. And now I'm looking for fabric. Right? Because I'm going to take fabric and I'm going to cover up that big box for that puppet theater. And then I'm going to make appliques that we can change the appliques in between our different puppet shows. Go do videos on that, people. Yeah. That's what I want to do in life. I want to do beading. I want to sew. That's another thing. I'm like, okay, Judy, just, you know what? I think you're just going to have to get it into your head that you're just going to start selling fabric. You're just not really making things to sell anymore. You know, it's so hard for me to let go of that part of my life, people. Because I used to make a lot of things and sell a lot of things. I still have things that need to be sold. So this is another reason why I have this. I just have to decide how I want to use these computers. Take pictures, come in here, you know, build them into a web page and then upload the web page, right? Or add them into something else, right? Those pictures, right? I don't know yet. I'm having to use my brain, and, you know, it's like going to school with fuzzy eyes and fuzzy head and being gang stalked and criminalized because you don't want to be a junkie, basically, right? That's how I feel about it, people. I will never stop feeling about that, okay? And I have a right to stand up for my family and our rights. Another reason to be in here. Will it get me anywhere in life? I don't know. When I stop making videos, well, I guess that's when you'll find out at the end of the story, because I don't know if anyone's going to pick up the torch after me, people. I really don't. Right? I don't. I've been waiting for that board director to do something, but for whatever reason, you know, he's just not doing it. So I don't know. I need to talk to him again. I haven't talked to him for a while. Ask him why he's not kind of stepping up the plate here. Maybe he's all stressed out, feeling gang stalked on, and feels hopeless, and doesn't think he could do anything in life anymore either. I don't know what he's thinking. I don't see anything here other than 69 at the end, number 346/69, printed in England. This is in England. Oh, here am I? There you go. See? And April, if you're watching my videos, I know. Where's that box? Well, I have to get into some stamps because I'm sending you that stamp book, right? And I just want to add in a few stamps with it so that when you get it, your daughter will have a few stamps to start with, right? I just haven't gotten to that point yet. Soon though, because I want to get the boxes out of my sewing room, and that applies for Lucy too, with her tree still sitting up in the greenhouse. Okay, I really do want to get these boxes out in the mail, but you know, I've been so tired, people, so tired. So it tells all the little different experiments and stuff. So I'm really excited to do that. I'm glad I found these. You know, I'm excited to be a grandma, okay? Like, serious, you know, this is what we need to get back into somehow, some way, without feeling threatened, right? Because our governments are threatening us to conform to some kind of social science experiment that clearly puts vulnerable individuals at risk, right? Okay? So that's kind of why I'm going to let Amari paint, do his finger painting, and then, or whatever he may do, right? I don't know what I'm going to get him doing yet. We don't know what he's capable of. All I know is Shimei was a genius, okay? Had a very, very high IQ. And I figure Amari has inherited some of that. We just need to tap into it. So when I'm talking with the workers that help me with Amari, right, in terms of development and that kind of stuff, monitoring and getting wheelchairs and helping with the speech and, you know, ideas on how to get him to communicate or whatever it may be, you know, I tell him that. I say, I think Amari is smarter than we think. We just have to find a way to tap into it, right? So it all fits in together, okay? Right? So let's just keep this in mind, okay? Right? I'm doing it for myself, for my grandson, but anything that I do in terms of bringing awareness, however I bring awareness to it, or approach my government with it, people, They'll be like, didn't we deal with you after they settled down with this lawsuit and what happened to Uncle John and all that? And then, I'll be coming in and I'll be like, okay, well, now that that's all over, let's talk about this. And they'll be like, oh. Because, I don't know, this is a dangerous precedence to be setting, okay? They took a few people that wanted to die and they opened up a can of worms that made it where thousands can basically be murdered through the manipulation of check boxes in terms of who's representing the person that's dying. I feel like I should put some effort into that and clarify that I don't think my grandson would ever want to be snuffed out because he couldn't move. Okay? Oh, but he's 45 now and he's got all these health problems and he's in pain. He's looking at us, telling us that he wants to die. And, we have the authority to make that happen because the legislation is in place. It hasn't even come to that, and I'm already putting in the brakes, people. Because I know what kind of slippery slope it can be, because it happened with Uncle John, right? And then for them to do what they did with Shimei's body and Sierra's body and all this other shit, oftentimes it just boils down to what's after the fact in terms of the body snatchers coming in and scooping up on the dead bodies so that they can do whatever the fuck it is that they want. They don't care how it, affects other people as long as they can capitalize off of the dead body. All right? This opens up the freaking menu. It opens up the menu of dead bodies. Okay? That nobody will ever be held to account. Okay? So, that's just saying. How I'm going to work on that, I don't know. I just know that it scares the freaking crap out of me. Okay? And it's not for me that I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of for Amari and people or children like Amari. Okay? So, one more time. The battery's getting low here. I'm going to show you my little system that I'm setting up. Amari's got to go on his toilet. So I think what I'm going to do to keep it easy on my eyes, I think this one would be better for PDF files and maybe basic typing out a letter or whatever, right? And I don't know, I might be able to do a little bit of video editing depending on how much gigabytes in terms of hard drive are on here. I can't remember. This one here is an XP that's got 80 gigabytes, right? But I'm going to end up putting in my other external hard drive that's an XP. I'm going to have somebody come in and install that so I'll be able to access that, right? And there's files on there that I kind of want to see. But besides that point, but I think this screen here would be the better screen for making web pages with. So the first thing I have to do is switch the cords around. And that's just, take out the blue one and put it there. And I do it between the computers. I just have to switch the two cords from back between the two computers. Got a nice little system going on here, don't you think? And this is just one corner. Hold on. Okay, so that wasn't so hard. So you see I switched them around, right? This one makes more sense because it's bigger, right? And when you're working with source code, it really gets hard on your eyes. But anyway, this is my XP from the United States of America. You don't know how happy I am to have this. The only problem is you forget. You forget how to, get back into the old programs, right? In terms of, I'm just having a problem with this mouse. This mouse is no good. I gotta get a different mouse. It's not that great, this mouse. I can't remember how to get into, You have to remember, right? You have to remember. It's hard to remember. Right? Power options. I'm system. I want to know what. Right? This is. Look at this mouse. See, this mouse no good. I gotta get a new mouse. All right. So where are we with systems? See? Look at that. Pretty nice, people. Pretty nice. Works much better. All right. That's not what I'm looking for, though. I wanted to show you it's at 80 gigabytes, but again, it's like going back to school. You have to learn all over. This mouse is no good. I'm going to have to change this mouse. Otherwise, I'm just going to be pissed off with the whole thing. Right? I don't have time to get pissed off. I don't want to get pissed off today. I'm tired. Right? And the old, I think you should be able just to get into properties. Wandering eye. But I can't see that. Right. Anyway, yeah.
Discover lots and lots about the amazing shapes we find in our world. Shapes are everywhere. Let's see how many we can find by reading through these 3 stories. Remember, as you read through the stories, listen to your CD. Ready? Here we go! Shape my world. Everywhere we go each day, we find amazing shapes.
We know that one works, people.
It has 4 sides.
Oh boy.
All equal. A slice of pizza that we eat has 3 corners and straight sides. This triangle has toppings. On those, you can decide. The coins we use when shopping are circles and look like wheels. Think of other circles and where they might be found. A rug is an oval with narrow, curved edges and a middle that's as wide as can be.
Can you hear that, Amari? What do you think?